Now I'm going to show you a real quick example of using native SQL. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to select from the users table, and we're going to see how Hibernate can automatically map this for us. We're just going to tell it what entity to use. So we're just going to create a query like we did before with HQL. We're just going to do session dot create, and this time we're going to choose create SQL query. And here we can just put our SQL. So let's just do select star from users. Just a simple SQL query. But we do want to do this add entity and tell it what entity this is. So we're going to say user.class. Now Hibernate is going to know that we are going to get a result set that's going to be of this entity type, and it's automatically going to be able to figure out the mapping. It's going to look at the columns, and it's going to look at the data in there, and it's going to use the mapping file to figure out what fields that should map to for our user class. So we're going to get really the benefits of the ORM while we're using native SQL. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do query.list to get our list of users. So let's just make a list of user called users, and then we want to verify this. So let's do a for loop here. So we're going to for user in users, and then inside here what we want to do is just do a system.out.println, and then we're just going to print the username. So we'll just say get name. Now there's one more thing we'll need to do. Because we're doing native SQL, it's not going to know what the database is. So we can just modify our connection, and we can make this say that, hey, when we do this, we're going to use this protein tracker database. So it just knows where to start. So now we can go ahead and run this code. And if you look at the output here, you can see we get Joe, Bob, Amy. So basically, we ended up getting this raw SQL mapped to this user entity. And this is pretty useful because you could put a where clause here. You could do anything that you could do in SQL, and you could still have this map correctly. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to use native SQL all the time. In fact, you really want to avoid this for only the special cases where this is necessary. It's going to be better to use HQL or the criteria API because it's going to be more adaptable. Remember, Hibernate is going to translate the other APIs, the criteria API and HQL, to the right dialect for your SQL database. When you're using SQL here, obviously, you are putting the SQL directly into your code, which is not necessarily something that you want to do.